Alright. Time synchronization. Jolly good. Let's get to repairing. Yeah, room seems dark tonight. Must be the sentiment. John, Travis, Firkin, welcome. Okay, let's get this thing apart. I actually don't even know what the fault is with this machine. They've just turned up as a batch, and I suppose they must be bad enough that it's going to be obvious no matter what. Hey, B-Blood, Miles, Steve, Andrew. Yeah, did some damage to me head. I was mowing in the backyard, and there's a mulberry tree that occludes part of the PlayStation that I built for the fur kids. And when I say PlayStation, like cat tree, but it's an outdoor cat tree with beams, and it's an interesting contraption. You see portions of it in some of the videos that I have of the cats out back. Anyway, grass does tend to grow underneath it, so I push the mower. What is wrong with you, Screw? It does not feel right. Anyway, needless to say, I copped the pointy end of a 200 by 50 treated sleeper, and basically partially degloved my scalp, and it wasn't too. I mean, it bled like head wounds bleed. It's just what they do. But I thought it was under control, and then I got a Lita to take some photos of it after she trimmed the hair back, and I sort of shared them to those. That screw is, see how that is quite a bit smaller than. Anyway, ended up down in the hospital, and they shaved me back a little more and put some stitches in for me. Yeah, that is not a pentalobe. It's a fake pentalobe. Because a pentalobe has lobes. See how these are rounded lobes, whereas these are more, I don't know, they're more like gear teeth than they are traditional gear teeth rather than lobes. So yeah, that's not a genuine screw. Anyway, yeah, so it was pretty good. I was able to see a doctor within about 5 minutes, so I was happy about that. And yeah, sat me down, stitched me up, sent me on my way. But yeah, I don't know, how squeamish are you all? I could show you what's going on up there. It's pretty it's actually pretty good, to be honest. In my history of experiences with head wounds like this one's pretty good. Pretty good in the sense of it's clean so far, and yeah, the damage isn't too great. Yeah, I shaved because when you cut my hair, if I don't shave, it just looks wrong. Like when I shave and I've got long hair, it looks wrong. So, any superpowers yet? No, unfortunately not. It wasn't that kind of an injury, unfortunately. Get some fake hair to fill the spot like that, spray on stuff like yeah. No, not with a chainsaw, with a piece of wood, a great big piece of wood. Look, anyway, yeah. Yeah, you can all see where the damage is done. I think that'll be enough. I don't want everybody throwing up on channel. So really, for the most part, the worst of what I'm suffering at the moment is more of a neck strain due to the impact. Because you're not expecting that kind of thing to happen, like the Spanish Inquisition, and then all of a sudden, wham, yeah, whacked in the head. All good, all fixed. Now I gotta wait for it to heal. Alright, so we got a green light. Okay, we've got a green light no power. Let's see, 10 milliamp. So that would tend to infer we do have probably 342. Let's have a look at our voltages here. Let's try to do this a sensible way since I'm being Mr. Slowpoke right now. Let's see, what have we got on 342? We do have 342, which makes sense because we are getting the orange light, which means the SMC should be up and running. But, interestingly, we've only got 2 volts on PP bus. So that's kind of weird that we're getting that, but yeah. Okay, so we've probably got a short somewhere on PP bus or something like that. Well, maybe our ISL is cactus, but I doubt it. Alright, let's get this battery out. They dig out the short. Yeah, they dug out the short that's been inhibiting me for all these years. How's the tree? Well, the tree is long dead, but it seems like it developed the spirit and taste for my scalp. It was a sleeper log, as in about 200 wide, 50 thick, about 2.4 meters long. Yeah, no concussion that I can tell, no nauseated feeling, no dilation of the pupils going wrong, no dizziness, none of those sort of classic concussion symptoms. I mean, obviously you want to be on the lookout for it, but we seem to be pretty good. Mostly because it was primarily a glancing blow for the most part, which is why it broke through the skin and then sort of tucked it under and flipped it back out. But yeah, it's not the first time I've had something like this happen. When I was a youngster, I tried to run through a concrete pipe and I didn't quite judge it properly, and I ended up with a significant portion of the top of my head deciding to go separate ways. Yeah, it was just the scalp again, but yeah. Anyway, there's a few different stories like that in my life. Maybe I did get my superpowers that way. Steve K, bet you upset leader. Oh yeah, probably it actually was that, but she's told me that it wasn't. She told me it was when I was mowing. So maybe she's gaslighting me now. No, lobotomy happens this way, inside, through the eye, divide the brain. Gosh, people who don't get their medical terminologies right. Hey Rodrigo. Hey Warren Stamps. Anyway, so we're doing a 1466 today, this evening, because that's a little bit easier on the brain. I've been doing A1990s, and I did an A1932 today, and yeah, the brain sort of said, right, you've done enough good work for the universe, let's pick something easy. Sunny days, I need help on a PP bus project. Can you help me program an Arduino? Well, I don't ever call it an Arduino. If it is an AVR microcontroller, 8-bit AVR, 18 mega, something like that, then yes, I can probably help you. Maybe you should email me. As if I don't already have enough projects to deal with. Not to mention fixing up my own brain right now after putting a hole in my scalp. Riston, you missed the story of what happened. Basically, I just ran into the end of a big piece of wood. And my scalp came off second best. Everyone thought the action would be Lewis getting mugged or something, but it turns out it was me just running into a piece of deadwood. No, it wasn't. I was actually just mowing the backyard today. I was mowing the backyard and there's a hidden wooden shelf behind one of the trees. When I built this assembly that's out there, the tree was not obscuring it. But now that the tree has grown, it obscures it, and I forgot. Needless to say, that piece of wood will... It does have a date with the chainsaw in the next couple of days, so yeah. Which one is the dead wood? Yeah, Andrew, you know, funny, but sadly true. Alright, let's have a look. So we've got 2 volts on PP bus. We do seem to appear to have a working SMC. It's not a guarantee. You can have some portions of the SMC working fine for the sys1 wire, and then the part that talks to the ISL can be like, hell no, we're broken, mate. But that, I gotta admit, looks pretty good there. We'll have a look around. Can't decide whether I'm going to find a blown up 68 oh jeez. That is a weird sort of thing to happen. But anyway, backlights cactus. Nerds doing yard work never ends well. I'm not a nerd. I never actually quite took to the term nerd. Geek I'm fine with, but nerd it's always perturbed me. I certainly don't consider myself to be one. Especially because when I was at school... Okay, there's a shorted cap there. That's going to be my guess. When I was at school, we were graded based on... Well, it was a meritocracy type school. And I was graded in the top class, but I was like mid-range in the top class. So the people who were above me, I would have called them nerds, but not myself. Anyway, I'm going to guess that that cap's shorted. That looks pretty gnarly. Suggest you at least wear blue jeans when using the chainsaw. Barry, I think B-Blot already suggested that. Also, that wouldn't have helped my head. Okay, let's get continuity. Well, you're not shorted, but by golly, you can't be far from it. You really cannot be far from it. Okay, let's see if PP Bus has got a blown up cap up the top side. Looking for blown up caps. Like that one we had on my recently silent edited video. Which, interestingly, is one of the more popular videos that I have running right now. 342 looks fine. So yeah, it would seem that by the numbers, YouTube and the world prefer me not to talk. Yeah, let's see if they're shorted. No short. No. So it doesn't look like we've got a short per se. Crash helmet for garden. That's actually not a bad idea. Hey, Rilla and Jason. Yes, Jason 165. Yeah, I didn't think that was a real short. You gotta be careful with these multimeters if they use smaller currents for doing continuity slash ohm measurements. It can take a while for them to effectively discharge whatever energy is in the rail already through the capacitors. So you will momentarily sort of see negative ohms come up and you think you've got a colossal short that defies physics, but it's just simply the existing energy on that rail being consumed by the meter. Yeah. Okay, well, we've got this culprit cap here, and I want to see what that's for. And see if that can manipulate it to give us 2 volts on PP bus, which is really unusual. Hey, Ron Rogers, Estevan Lucas, yeah, I think that'll be close. No. Okay, schematics. Wrong board. Where's my 165? This is by the Allsys Power Good. Oh, I need to turn that off. Board images, thank you. Board images is a feature I've added in to the latest sort of version I'm working on, but funnily enough, in using it, I'm actually not finding it that useful. I'm finding it more of a bizarre, obscured thing. It's not working out as cleanly as I want. Alright, so that's on 1VO 5SO. Yeah, I really can't see that causing Cannot see that causing 2 volts on PP bus. I would say this is very confusing. Okay, this here has got some corrosion on it. Again, not likely to be our culprit, but certainly will need to be fixed. Oh, damn it. I'll tell you what I do have to learn how to do is switch back to there. Okay, so this is just by the All-Sys Power Good. So we're just going to mark that. So there's a little bit of damage there, but again, like I said, doesn't seem to be our real culprit. And the 1V, oh no, if 1VSO5 is damaged like that, okay, I'm taking the heatsink off. Because if 1VO5 goes crazy and gets a high voltage, that will generally destroy the PCH. But it looks clean. Alright, I'm sorry I accused you, PCH. But the fingers were pointing at you. Oops, bang bang crash. So does anyone in this channel watch another YouTuber? He does car repairs. I think it's Rayman's repair channel or something like that. And every time the phone rings, he goes doo 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 doo. Yeah, anyway, the damn guy's in my head now. I don't know what it is about his videos, but it's quite entertaining to watch. Well, I guess we'll remove that cap and see what's going on. Jason, I ran into something when I was mowing. It was unpleasant. It bled a lot, but then head wounds bleed a lot. That's just the nature of them. And I was pretty content with how things were. But my sister is a registered nurse of goodness knows how many years. How old is she now? Yeah, okay. I'm going to say 30 years. And then I've got another fellow in town here whom I talk with a lot. And they both sort of made the recommendation, maybe you should get that stitched up. Yeah, I could have just let it flap around like a bad toupee, but yeah, I went in and got it stitched up. Do you think you could perhaps wear a hat? Oh yes, I'm going to have to wear a hat. I'll likely have to take a trip to Townsville tomorrow, and so yeah, getting a hat's going to be quite important. Wow, this thing doesn't want to budge. Yeah, Jason, I really don't want to keep bumping it. It's going to hurt. To be fair, I've actually been warned by that particular piece of wood a few times. Steve K, that's it, yeah, Rayman Repairs or something. I find him quite enjoyable. It's like the automotive parallel of what we do. He just seems to be able to make it a lot funnier than I do. Okay, so I want a 10 microfarad, 10 volt, 603. That is a pretty standard jelly bean capacitor. And instead of pulling one from the box, I'm going to pull one straight from a donor board. Really, of all the caps that have been knocked off on this board, the one that I want has been knocked off. That's... gotta love that universe. That's the universe looking out for you. Hey creature, well, it's not that I forgot to dark. I forget every time, but it's just that I was going in with a little bit too much vigor. And it was that extra vigor, as it were, that changed it from being an ouchie, where you go, ooh, that hurt, to a, oh dear. That's bleeding everywhere now. I exceeded the tensile strength of my scalp. Rayman Ray's repairs. That's still too hard for me to say at this point. But yeah, I find him quite entertaining. I kind of hope he gets a better camera setup so that we don't constantly watch him doing one-handed gear shifts and driving. Oh, for fuckla. Alright. Paint the wood. No, that's the problem. The end of the beam, or the sleeper, the end of it is obscured by the tree. So the tree actually needs to be cut back a bit, and also the end of it needs to be cut back. It's about, a good 300 mil too long. Yeah, I actually wanted to just keep mowing, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to get dirt and junk in it. I probably should get it checked. And I sat down, I said to her, washed away most of the blood, or at least, stopped the bleeding. And I said to Alita, this is going to be really uncomfortable because I'm all hot and sweaty. I've got long hair and now my hair's all yuck. So would you kindly cut my hair back so that you at least, I have a chance then I can wash the hair just, using a damp cloth and things like that. But, and when she did that, and I said, okay, now you can take photos of my balding scalp. And when she showed me the photos, I was like, I know what's happened to my head. And then I sent it off to a couple of other people, and they sort of were in the same sort of opinion. I was like, alright, fine, we'll go take a trip down to the hospital. And like I said, it was only 5 minutes. 5 minutes, and I had a doctor sorting me out. It's pretty good going. That's right, Tom. It cost me absolutely nothing. Just walked in, 5 minutes, looked after, discharged in less than an hour. And if I want, I go back in about 5 to 7 days and they can take the stitches out. Or I can go down to a GP and they can do it for me. Or I can try to do it myself. Not generally recommended to do it yourself, only on the fact that it's good to have a medical profession look at the results and sort of decide, you know what, maybe we shouldn't take them out, or that's looking pretty nasty, I think you've got an infestation of rats in there, so we're gonna have to call in the exterminators. Sorry that your life has to end so soon. At least you have given the kitties something to lick tonight. Oh, what the Alright. So it looks like the corrosion wasn't really on the part itself, but it was on this corner, so for me that's good enough to replace it. Could have used some super glue. Yeah, I could have, but my head might have caught on fire, to be honest. Oh, flip's sake, and this one, now that part's gone, really? I've only got the super fast stuff these days. So it would literally be reliving the hot glue naming technique. Not hot glue, hot stuff. Hot stuff naming technique. I would put that on, my hair would catch on fire like Michael Jackson. Drop bear infestation, yeah. If only it was something as real as that I could have said. B-Blood, that was a bit careless of her to ride into a tree. Now I will say, I do believe the true fault is lurking still somewhere. I don't in any which way believe that this has been solved. Yes, those corrosion items were needed to be fixed. Oh yeah, that's right. We've got about our backlight driver that's completely and utterly trashed. Alright. No saving that one, buddy. That one's got to come off. Have some medical superglue in the medikit. I think I would have needed a little bit more than the normal amount they put in a medikit. As the hospital's only the hospital's only about 4 minutes drive from here. They were happy to see me. They were like, oh wow, something real to do. We got a real customer. There's some gnarly backlight area. Oh. I'm going to clean that up and I'm going to plug in the power and I'm going to see if the 2-volt fault's gone away. Because in many ways, I would actually say this is causing the issue more than anything else. If it's mangled up the I2C lines, to be fair, I can't remember if these ones share anything with the ISL. Stapler too? No. I've actually never had medical staples. I don't really care to. I've seen some people, tough guys on movies, apply them to themselves. It doesn't look too pleasant. It was pretty funny though when I was sitting in there and the doctor was doing the examination and he doesn't, yeah, doctors being doctors, what they are, he just pushes his finger down on the wound already and is like rubbing it around. It didn't hurt at that time, it was just, yeah, it's more bruised pain. It wasn't any of that like stinging agony or anything like that. My neck was giving me more drama. And he, yeah, pushing and prodding, and then the blood starts pouring out again. And he's like, yeah, okay, yeah. Throw some iodine on there, betadine, whatever it is. Fun stuff. Let's see. Stuart Menzies, I mind if I don't get this 1466 fixed. Staple gun works like that type, works on cardboard boxes, just smaller. I always wonder, you know, what are they actually folding back on? It's like, how do they do the fold back of the staple? That's what I always wonder about. Or is it just simply more like my fencing staples where you just rely on the hosting material to not tear through? I don't know, tell me. It's not something I've bothered to check. Alright, so we're going to see if this actually makes any sort of activity. Now that the backlight driver and we fixed up what corrosion things we could, we've done our janitor bit for the most part. They are already folded? But then how do they work, you know? You'd think they'd like a U shape, go in, but then how do you make the bottom of the U shape tuck up? I don't know. I'll have to research that now. Oh, looks like it's working. Oh, how boring. Let's see if we get a green blink. If we get a green blink, I'll put the backlight driver back on. I should have tested that before I took the backlight off. Yeah, it's alive. Oh, how jolly boring. No, it's not. It's not boring. I love my 1466s. Please don't take my 1466s away. I live for my 1466s. They are my bread and butter. Even with a head injury, you can fix a 1466. Yeah, Catherine, the tree work went fine. It was just the incompetent mowing that didn't. There's not much you can do but just laugh this stuff off. I mean, what else are you gonna do? Cry about it? That really doesn't help. Think of spider fangs with staple between the fangs. Yeah, I'm just gonna look it up. LP8550s? Yeah, I've got a bunch of LP8550s here. These will be the stepper ones. These are not genuine Apple pre-configured to do linear transitions. But I don't know too many people that even notice the transition. Oh yeah, with the Earth, Harold is now making them with the Earth built on. We're just experimenting with different things. But yeah, Harold's doing one with on. He sent me a couple to try. This was one, but we found that it protrudes too much, so when the board is flipped over, it gets in the way. So he did end up producing one that had a midway recessed connector. But it's convenient, particularly when you're doing things like diode mode measurements across the board. Just plug it in once to ground and go from there. Okay, so that's the correct orientation. Let's stick some goop on there. Hey Wayne's news repair? Yeah, I'm doing okay. Like I said, more of a sore neck than anything else. And that's just from the sheer impact. It made me thankful for the fact that the mower has an auto shut off and everything like that. The mower was having a great time, eating its way through all the luscious long grass. I was like, oh yeah, give me some of that grass. Oh yeah, loving this grass. And then all of a sudden I just let go of it, and it's like, what are you doing, buddy? You're not keeping up with me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm down, man, I'm down. Just like this controller is. And of course it shut down. It's like, fine, loser. Haha, Joseph King being very punny tonight. Okay, we've got a little bit of corrosion there. It looks like dried up something. Just scratch that back. I don't know what got onto this board. It's not bug stuff, it's something else. But that'll come out in the ultrasonic, so it'll be all good. Wayne, I just collided with... I wasn't watching where my head was going. And then I ran into a camouflaged plank of wood. It was wearing a ghillie suit. I mean, for goodness sake, how am I supposed to know it was going to snipe me like that? Headshot. It had a ghillie suit on. Cleaning up some of the excess flux here. Those of you who have watched a few of these will know that I have a bit of a dislike for putting boards in that are all fluxed up back into the chassis. So I try to get rid of as much of the flux as I can before I put it back in for the test, in the hope that I don't make things worse. in the chassis. By worse, I mean covered in sticky goo flux. Particularly that this is going back to a business, or this is a business-to-business job. You know, got to try and make it look like I care somewhat about the work I'm doing. You know, you could use goat skin. Oh no, as if we don't already have enough animals. Besides, goats will start eating everything else, and they will really probably go after my mulberry trees before they even think about the grass. They'll see those mulberry trees and they will devour them to the stump. Okay, we're not putting that in because we don't test with that. We test with the boot stick first. Because the last thing we want to do is put the user's data into a board that we haven't proven and the solid state drive goes pfft, and then we're like, oops. Of course, I could blame whatever happened before and say, well, it was already dead before it even got to me, so yeah, my fault? No. I would never do a mistake like that. So, you know, you can bullshit your way through like that, but I guess some people can sleep with that sort of thing, but not me. Not me, no siree. Okay, let's press the option button. Catherine, yes, the leader cut my hair. It was a really quick crap job, but I think she actually did a pretty good job, to be honest. She likes to say that I got Marsha Brady hair. Basically meaning, obviously we're working here, by the way. Yeah, it doesn't seem to matter what you do to my hair. Okay, it's a little thin, a little grey. Yeah. Lewis Rossman's fault. Yep, probably. Most likely. Hey, James Ewing, Patrick, how's it going? Patrick from New York. No, Rossman background. Won't the goats fight with the cats? Yes. Yeah. Goats can be temperamental. I mean, they're hilarious things when they're kids, but when they get older, they seem to lose that hilarious streak and just become cranky. Alright, so we're just testing things here. We've got our SD stick. Make sure that works. Let's see. FaceTime. Load everything up at once. Yeah, Miles, it took a little bit to keep her steady, but she's good. She's good. Early days, maybe it might have been a bit more difficult for her, but she's become quite accustomed to my moronic attempts to end myself, it seems. Okay, speakers are good, microphone's good. Let's see, keyboard says nay. Really? Oh no, it's just me. Well, we'll find out when I run the tester program. Hair will grow back fast. Yes, it will, yeah. I've never really had any trouble with... I probably spend most of my life with long hair of some description. And I'm not just talking about my nose or ears. Okay, keyboard's fine. What else have we got? Need to eject that. So state the battery is in, and then we bring up our temperatures. Temperature's good, fan's good. Coconut battery's taking a little while to come up. It seems to be heavy program for some reason. $35 and going bald, Wayne. That's interesting. Alright, Coconut doesn't seem to want to run for some reason. It's got the little dot under it, so I would assume that means it's running. Anyway, let's run Valley. We don't even know what this is. Based on the fact that it's doing 30 frames per second, this has got to be either an i7 or a high i5. 1.8 i5, okay, so 8 gigs of RAM though. Yeah, bit of a letdown, I suppose. Still, 2017 machine, so that's pretty good. And battery looks to be pretty good. Quit. Temperatures will come up predictably high, especially considering that we took off the heatsink to check for broken PCH. Alright, well that was a different one. I genuinely was not expecting the PP bus to be held down to 2 volts by what the damage we did find. So I'm actually going to check something. Charge rate's good too, it's charging the battery. Okay, schematics. So what I'm going to check. Let's see. What? No favorites? What kind of bollocks is that? Pardon me. There's a page I'm after which shows all the I2C connections, or maybe it's not for the 165. Oh, there it is. There we go. Okay, favorite, create, page 40, I2C. Okay. Alright, so let's see. Yeah, so like battery charger, battery, and SMC, they're all, yeah, that's where your PP bus generally gets told to do its thing. Trackpad, SMC. Thunderbolt, backlight. Okay. So backlight is on the same one as Thunderbolt, Links Point. Links Point, that's PCH. VREF DAX. SM bus, PCH, clock and data. Nah, I'm not sure what margin control is. So it would have been messing with all of this, but I don't know. Maybe I measured it wrong, maybe I didn't press the meter down properly. I'm just having a hard time trying to come up with how that played into this. Oh well, another mystery I'll never know. Okay. Alright, so that's fixie. I better sort this job out, 1164, otherwise I'll forget by tomorrow actually what it was that I did. And then I'll have to make up some mumble jumble as to what I did. Oh yeah, I changed the thingamabog and it totally was broken. Oh yeah. C7601, C7601 corroded, replaced. And then what else was it? U1950, U1950 corroded. It wasn't really corroded. U1950 is the 8-pin long one that we had. That's the PCH Power OK chip. It's kind of like a Allsys Power Good chip for the PCH. And then of course we replaced U7701. U7701, backlight, driver, corroded, replaced. Matthew, mostly it's probably because I just simply show them. I think a lot of people get the 1466s, but I actually just, you know, tend to show them the most, mostly because they are a very approachable machine. Like, if you're getting into this industry, then repairing 1466s is one of the easiest ways to get started. Certainly I find them easier than the 1278s or pretty much anything else for that matter. They're an excellent bread and butter income maker. And what's particularly nice is, although you don't want to have to do it, you can interchange the 3437 with the 165 back and forth. Yeah, there may be some issues with the actual solid state drive, but with the newer ones, you know, they'll want the APFS support in the firmware. But you know, you reinstall High Sierra on a 3437 and you'll get that firmware update. What's Wayne saying? You think it'll make a difference? Oh. Common power issue, sometimes a chip acquisition. Well, it was on PP bus, and PP bus was being pulled down, and PP bus is your main one, and it should be at 12 volts. It was at 2 volts, so that's where it was quirky, because it wasn't actually a short that I could tell. But again, the problem I had there was that I didn't test after doing each individual step. Instead, I just said, look, I'll do the whole cleanup job and then test, and by doing that, I denied myself the opportunity to be able to ascertain what truly was at fault. Did you run into some poison ivy? No. That is actually how can I put it? It's a permanent thing, sort of thing. I've had that ever since I was a kid. It just happens. It's non-stop. It's not a rash. It's basically a kind of a form of an acne, I suppose. Just never stops. It's caused basically by golden staph, I think. And that's fine while you're youngish and healthy-ish. It doesn't, you know, get out of control. And it's just, you can't get rid of it. It basically, you know, it's in your skin. But where it can become a problem is when you get older and weaker, and then it's like, our time to shine has begun. But yeah, I've never been able to get rid of it. I've never bothered, to be honest. Oh, shite. 1164. I better put a job number on this. Get it on your legs, triggered by synthetic vitamin D. Was that too much light in your in your workshop? Since I know you don't get much of the real vitamin D through UV exposure where you are, not directly anyway, unless the ozone hole moves over you. Alright, so that's 1164 done. I actually do have another 1466. I might just tackle it now. Wait, no, that's a 1932. I'm not in the headspace to deal with a 1932 after today's 1932. I did fix today's 1932, but it was one of those jobs where I've fixed the main board. That's great, but I don't think I'm going to really have a win overall, because the keyboard needs replacing, the trackpad needs replacing, the audio daughter board needs replacing, and the battery should be replaced. So I don't know if the customer's going to like that. Okay. This is 1165. I need another container. Also need a hell of a lot more shelves. Maybe when I go to Townsville tomorrow I'll try to find some more. Oh dear, Oz, have you just discovered that someone was telling the truth? Oh, that's a painful reality. Alright, we have got one screw in the bottom of this. I like that. That's very convenient, thank you. And it's a legitimate pentalobe screw. But yeah, it's like I said, it's just a permanent thing, and that's also semi-permanent because that's cats for you. Glorious little children. Okay, we do not have something very important to mark there. The lack of a drive. Add a note. No SSD. Single screw only for bottom panel. It's all about bottoms. I do have to get a trolley as well, a little helper on the side, but I was talking about for actually storing the jobs. Now, what am I doing? First I want to see what it does or does not do. Cats do not... Fortunately the cats do still recognise me. I probably smelled a little funny when I came back from the hospital. That wigs them out more often than not. Ha, funny stuff, Joseph, funny stuff. Alright, here we go. Plug in. I saw a kick then. Okay, we had a quarter fan spin there. It wasn't even a quarter fan spin, it was more like a 132 fan spin. Classically, it's been a long time since I've actually had one of these. Classically, it's your RTC circuit that does that. At least according to historical archives. I guess we'll have a look. Don't like it when it's RTC issues because RTC, or 3v3 RTC, is a rail that is generated explicitly for the PCH to the best of my knowledge, and far too many times that has ended up also with a dead PCH. Right, pop, pop, pop. Definitely feels dark in here tonight. Yeah, the lighting's all the same, but you know, some nights are just... It's dark, man. It's like heavy. I don't know why. It just does. See Joseph King's earning his moderator's badge by ensuring that everybody knows. Okay, remind me that I've loosened the screw for... Actually, you know what? Don't. I'm tightening it back up. That's one thing I have found is I really cannot trust myself to loosen screws and come back and tighten them 3 or 4 steps later. It's like it's got to be done there and then or removed entirely. I'm terrible when it comes to partially, undoing a screw and leaving it still in there. I can guarantee you I will almost every time ship that computer off with that screw loose. Usually until I realize what I've done, then I have to call up the customer and say, can you send that back to me? I kind of stuffed up. Well, we don't know if we've got shorts or anything yet. The first thing we do with this sort of scenario is we just take the board out, have a look, see if we can get a visual on any damage. This thing has been out before based on the fact that that rubber came off real easy. Usually if they've never been removed before, they have a pretty good bond on them. Likewise with the fan, when you take the shroud off the fan, it should be fairly, well bonded, but that one was not. What have we got here? This is another 165, it's not a 3437. Hey Shad, DJ, and ask Diatom, have you ever tried to replace a PCH chip? No. I have not. I do have the equipment to try it, but I think I've had that for a year and a half now, and I haven't even turned it on. Adrian Russell. Oh, in South Africa, are you? Where are you? You in the Cape or up in Gauteng? So we're just looking for the janitor special here. Hey, 555. You've been avoiding me for the last couple of weeks. Well, sad to say, but the RTC area looks perfect. So RTC theory is out the door. So PCH destroyed, maybe back on the menu. ISL looks fine. Oh, jeez. Maybe we've just got a big fat shorted cap on the top side that I didn't see. This is a disturbingly clean board, as we say. Oh, South Australia. Oh, right, from my home state. Not that I'd ever claim that. But hey, you know, kudos to South Australia for getting their big battery and all that sort of stuff, in spite of the federal politicians doing their absolute utmost to derail the process and mock the living daylights out of everybody. And they're still trying in spite of everything actually going as planned. Yeah, this is a disgustingly clean board, which is actually very distressing. Okay, maybe we just simply had a dud DCM board. Try not to headbutt MacBooks, that's a good point. Should try not to do that. Okay, so we've got a DCM board that we do know works. We'll try that. How's COVID restrictions going in Australia? All good. Pretty much all of them are gone now. So we got 72 milliamps, which is it's an odd value. So this is actually maybe going to be a thinky one. So we're going to bring out the probes. What's our 342? Pretty much on the mark. Fractionally high, but not bad. 8.6. SMC is on the run. What about CPU? Dead cold there. That's fine. Okay, disconnect power. Go to ohms mode. And we'll see what our CPU is. 8.6. Should be the same on here. Yep. That's fine. CPU has not blown its brains out yet. Victoria now has a bigger battery than South Australia. Oh, I saw that one where there was a problem with the one pack during the testing phase. It happens. Now, that's the other thing is, you know, a lot of this is all developmental type stuff, so I mean, goodness knows how many oil rigs burnt down before they got that mostly sorted out, and then we still had things like Clearwater Horizon blowing up. Matthew Brilla. Annoyed, the MacBook I thought was just going to be a T-Con board actually had a crack at the top right corner of the screen. Ah, man, that's no good. Sorry to hear that. Alright, let's see if we've got a short on PP bus then. Yeah, it's sad when you buy something thinking that it's going to be a particular fault and it turns out to be you're absolutely wrong. We do not have a short on PP bus. Is our fuse working? Yes. Gotta check those ones. See ya, DJ. Yeah, okay, this one's throwing me a bit. Like I said, the big problem here, is it's just weird. When you've got nothing visual to go on, then this is when being a janitor bites you in the backside. Because people are like, you can fix stuff. Not, oh yeah, totally can fix stuff. So they give you something like this, and you're like, I have no idea how to fix a board that has no clues on it. Well, time to start checking rails. Make sure we got things like 3v3 RTC, funnily enough, and make sure we got 32 kilohertz coming out of it, things like that. CAC look cracked. Yeah, if you want to play along, this is the 165 board, so you can load up that board in your board view and schematic, and then you can guide me with actual numbers. I'm just going to test the resistances of these. They probably won't. I mean, I can pick up the 75 milliamp. 5, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, we don't have any input issues in that respect. Could still be the ISL playing up, but the fact that we get 8.6 does tend to make me disinclined to believe that is our issue. So we're going to check this area here, get some voltage check. Okay, so 3v3 RTC, yeah, look at that, yeah, 100 millivolts, it's useless, but then are we even getting power to that chip? That's the problem. Like, obviously it's not going to power itself up if it's not meant to. So let's see. So we should have 342 coming in on that. 13. Let's see. This might go quad view here. Sometimes it's easier when I'm skipping around all over the place. Okay, so with the quad view, we just go check that, make sure we've got 342 coming up on that pin. And we do. And we also have VDD. Let's see. I don't know what VDD is actually meant to be. Pin 5. When I say I don't know what it's meant to be, I mean what its value is meant to be. Well, it's 3.3 volts, so we've got VDD. Alright, so, well, there's a couple of possibilities here. One is that the chip itself is dead. The other is that the PCH is dead. Quicker for me to check the PCH. And if the PCH is fine visually, then we will replace the RTC chip because we are getting the power. I didn't bother to check see if it had an... Oh no, PCH is dead. Very, very, very dead PCH. Very dead. Oh. Yep. That one's not going home to tell its computing stories to anybody. Is that full on screen? Oh yeah, I think I've changed that around. I wonder if the spinning the polarizer makes the color change as I rotate it. Yeah. Yeah, that was killed through that there. That is where the short occurred, and it just blew the smithereens out of everything else. That just sort of popped up from the force of the explosion. Nothing wrong with the PCH, just a streaker and shark showing its insides. Oh, hello, Prater. Hey, Rob Brown. How you going, bro? But it's very pretty when you look at them, but it's not very nice when... Yeah. So this is basically a donor board, obviously. What a shame. There is a hint that I should have seen. There. You can see all the remnants of the top of that PCH. Well, at least we didn't spend too much time on that one, eh? Yeah, we did some probing around, but we didn't replace anything. So we kind of won there by the fact that we didn't waste time. Reflow it. Aha, I don't think so. Yeah, not at 20 past midnight. So what was this? It's a 1.68. So it's middle of the road board. It's not the highest end, but yeah, nothing much you can do. You can just basically say to the person, well, it's cactus, mate. What do you want to do with it? I would like it if a lot of these places actually offered for me to buy their dead machines, but the downside is that I could start declaring everything dead, like a brand new M1 Pro MacBook or something like that. Oh, it's dead, mate. Totally dead. I'll give you $20 for it. You'd probably get away with that one or two times, and then they would know. Hello, Damraz, sorry. Yeah, I think it's probably time for me to wind up, being past midnight. So we had a success, and we had a half success. I mean, honestly, not wasting my time too much on a board, I do consider to be a success. I know it doesn't feel like that, because, we didn't get to have our fan spin our green light. But believe me, saving time in the workshop is a success. Oh well. We won't get a reball on this one, but maybe later I can work my way up to doing one, or even just trial it out and see how we go. But yeah, she did. Right then, well, that's everything for tonight. I am going to go and relax a bit, sort of feel a bit better now that I've got one machine sorted out and the second one determined as fault, and I've got one A1932, which is the the next Air version, and I'll work on that tomorrow. It's probably liquid damage or something, which can get a bit messy, and it's all CD3215s and T2 chips. The T2 is particularly annoying, but we'll leave that for another day. Anyway, I'm out of here. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it, as always, and I'll see you when I look at you next time. Until then, take care. Catch you later.